Hey friends, happy day 4 of going to the bins every single day of the week so I can be a full-time wholesaler. So, I'm super scatterbrained. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna be honest, I messed up. I wanted to post this series like back to back to back. And so I posted video 1 and I shouldn't have posted it yet. Trying to edit and post a YouTube video every single day is too much on top of everything else I'm doing because it takes me a few hours. I'd say for most videos, especially the ones where I'm doing a voiceover, it's easily 2 hours plus then creating a thumbnail. So I just kind of overextended myself, and also on top of that, I got a lot more interest in the wholesale than I thought I was going to. The other thing is I skipped the bins yesterday. Yesterday was Friday. The main 2 reasons I skipped: I was feeling overwhelmed and Once Upon a Child wasn't buying, and a whole part of this experiment is also making income from Once Upon a Child. So I used yesterday to catch up on Poshmark mostly, and I'm just feeling so overwhelmed. But instead of skipping today, I do want to try and continue the series. So I'm going to the bin today. I called Once Upon a Child and they are purchasing, so I have my tote that I was going to take them Thursday when they weren't buying. So that will go to them today. And I think I'll shop the whole time until they're done with my tote, because I am thinking about meeting my mom for dinner tonight. And I also know I'm not going to the bins tomorrow, Sunday, because I'm also going to spend most of the day with my mom. So that's, again, the thing where I'm like, I don't want to compromise life for this. Oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. I think that's my intro for day 4. Let's head over to Once Upon a Child. Just dropped off and they're super duper busy again, but she said it should be done today. Also, it is the girl who recognizes me because she no longer asks if I've sold at that location. Like every time I would go in, they're like, have you sold with us before? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, with this location? And I'm like, yes. And now she's just like hands me the sheet. So she knows me now. We made it, and I had to park all the way at the back of the parking lot, so it must be pretty busy today. Oh no. I mean, that's not totally surprising for a Saturday. Resellers who work full-time and also teenagers, because it's not summer break anymore, are probably coming today. We made it to the bins, officially day 4 of my week-long binge challenge. As you can see, they're rotating bins right when I walk in. This is a Saturday, and I do think they stopped rotating pretty early this day. I'd say usually about 5 o'clock they end, but they ended around like 2-ish this day. I walked over to this piece because I thought it was a girl's skirt, but I was amazed to find this beige piece. Literally walked in and grabbed it, thinking it was going to be a piece for Once Upon a Child, and it is a like mid-tier luxury piece that probably retailed for a couple $100, and it was at Goodwill and never sold. Then I found these men's AG jeans. Men's AG jeans do okay for me, so I will pick them up from the gym, from the bins if they're in good condition. However, I did pass on these ones because the cuffs had some wear. That wasn't a total deal breaker for me at bins pricing, but then I flipped them over and saw that the butt had just some like slight fraying on the back seam, so I decided to pass on them for that reason. My intention going into this day was to be picking stuff up to wholesale to other people. So I was thinking, like, what can I find that people will be comfortable paying $3 to $4 for per piece, because that is kind of what my wholesale boxes were coming out to. As you know, if you watched my last video, I was just not able to source enough stuff this past week to do wholesale boxes. So the stuff that I found this day mostly is going to 1 or 2 people that I will be working with on a monthly basis, but I cannot sell to everybody, unfortunately. This is a girl's sweater that I was planning to pick up for Once Upon a Child, but I threw back because it just had a little too much pilling. And this is a Puma piece. I don't like Puma. I don't think it does very well, even in the shoes, which is what they're more known for. But I did look it over and it seemed fake to me because there were no interior tags and it felt cheap. So definitely left that piece behind. Now, I found a lot of cute Old Navy pieces while I was sourcing for these wholesale boxes, and I left them all behind because I think when you're getting Old Navy for less than $2 a piece for like linen blend pieces and plus size pieces and coats, then it can be worth it.
but I don't feel comfortable selling people Old Navy pieces for like $3 to $4 a piece, and I wish I picked them up for myself, but I was really trying not to pick up anything for myself these days, so I did leave all the Old Navy behind that normally I would pick up for Ben's pricing. Here I found a girl's Carter's dress, and I didn't realize how expensive Carter's was until I found a new tag Carter's piece. Like, their dresses are like $34, which is crazy. I'm sure they go on sale or whatever, but that one had a little spot on it, but it was a little dirt mark, nothing super terrible. So I did throw that in my cart to take to Once Upon a Child. Then in a bin they were about to rotate away, I saw this kid's cat and jack coat, so I did grab it. And I was checking it over really closely for flaws because first off, it had like one of those zip off jackets. So it was 2 jackets in one. And so you have to check both of them, and I did have to end up throwing that back. And as you can see, they're starting to rotate the bins away, and I saw that Madewell piece. Actually, I don't even know if I knew it was Madewell. I just snatched it right out of the bin they're about to roll away, and I was like, cool, Madewell. I don't list much Madewell anymore. I usually just take it to buy, sell, trade, where they will pay me $10 to $12 in trading credit for a shirt, and that's about how much cash I get after, not even, I usually profit like $6 to $10 cash after selling on Poshmark. So I'd rather not do the work and trade it in for something better. So I lined up for the new rotation. It was a very busy rotation this Saturday. Actually, some guy, like a teenage guy standing next to me, he's like, oh, do you like film for YouTube or something? And I was like, yeah, I have YouTube channels. How many subscribers do you have? And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. Anyway, I found these J. Crew jeans and they're white. So I was checking them all over for flaws. Didn't see any, threw them in my cart, and when I was sorting later, I did see flaws. So those did not come home with me. I did find a few other things in this rotation before I started filming. I didn't start filming until after it died down a little bit. They rotated the bins next to me, next to this row. So all the t-shirt bros ran over there, then it cleared out a little bit and made it easier to shop. I did find this Nike piece. I did not pick it up. I don't pick up most Nike, but I always check the sizes on those like running type pieces because I have a friend who's a runner and she's always very appreciative when I give her some Nike. I was very excited to find this Desigual or Desigual, or I'm sure there's 5 other ways to say the brand, this coat. I did notice that it was missing a couple buttons, unfortunately, so I threw it in my cart to check it over, see if there were enough buttons to sew on, and there wasn't. There was only 1 replacement button, and it was missing like 3, and they were very unique, funky buttons, so I just had to leave it behind. I think if it had the buttons, it could have been at least a $40 to $50 sale. I do like picking up Desigual because it's a pretty unique artsy brand, so it takes a little while to sell, but people are willing to pay for it. Then I ended up coming across a piece I thought could be my first ever Burberry bins find. So I was checking it over and the tags looked pretty good to me, and I was like, oh my god, did I just find Burberry in the bins? Like, these aren't an immediate fake looking pair of shorts to me. So I threw them in the cart, and I mean, they did look pretty good, but then as I was going over things, I was looking at the fabric content tag, and while it said like Burberry, the fabric contents were only in Chinese. So like it didn't say 100% cotton, it said like 100% something in Chinese. So I was like, okay, it's not real. I can't cross Burberry off my bins thrift list yet, but that just means it is yet to come. I will say this is probably one of the best bins I hit this day. We have yet to see all the good finds, but they're coming. I grabbed that basketball t-shirt for myself because that's what I sleep in, and I love to get them at the bins when I'm paying pennies. I had to pass on these NYDJ jeans because of wear, but I do like to pick up the Maryland Straight jeans. This piece looked interesting to me because it said Irish linen, and that is a higher quality fabric. Unfortunately, it did have staining on the shoulders, so I did have to pass on that piece. If you see something that says Irish linen and you're unfamiliar with the brand, it's definitely worth giving a Google, a comp search, because Irish linen is expensive. As you can see, they're switching out another row of bins, and I did something you're probably not supposed to. I snatched this piece because I could tell it was vintage as they were rolling the bin away, and I was like, no way is that going to the landfill. So I threw it in my cart. I was happy to find these Athleta leggings, but somebody had knotted the waist and I couldn't get it unknotted, so I threw them back. Then I found a pair of Lululemon underwear, men's underwear, briefs, I don't know. And I threw them in my cart because I remembered someone saying that Lululemon underwear can be resold. And I was like, sweet, Lululemon in the bins, I'm gonna resell those. Then I came across a Victoria's Secret piece, and I do sell some Victoria's Secret, mostly bras and lingerie. I don't usually pick up the clothing, and this ended up being like a little cami PJ top, and it had stains on it, and it was missing the bottoms, so for all those reasons, I threw it back. Even if it didn't have stains, I probably would not have picked it up since it was missing the bottoms, and it was just a little cami top. I have tried to sell PJ separates, and they don't usually do so well from Victoria's Secret. That was a cool vintage piece I grabbed for buy sell trade, some crew cuts, some vintage Laura Ashley. That piece, vintage Laura Ashley can sell well, but that piece is pretty plain. I checked comp, so I think it will be going to buy sell trade. That was also a Beard McNutt Irish linen piece. Beard McNutt, if that's how you say it. That is a good Irish linen brand to know. Here is a kid's piece I picked up for Once Upon a Child. It is a boy's summer button-down shirt. I'm just checking it over here and making sure these little marks are just dust, which they were. So I threw that in my cart, and I'll make a buck or so for Once Upon a Child. When I see kids' clothes in the bins, it's really just like a little happy dance because I feel like I'm pulling out $1 cash every time. I found this 41 Hawthorne sweater, and the reason I looked it over is because I figured it was cashmere. I felt like cashmere, and it was 100% cashmere. 41 Hawthorne is a brand that was sold at Stitch Fix. I believe it still is sold at Stitch Fix. I used to make really good money selling Stitch Fix house brands, but that was like back in 2017. I don't pick them up so much anymore, if ever, but since that was 100% cashmere, I did decide to give that piece a go. Here is a Just Cavalli graphic t-shirt. It has a teeny tiny little mark on the shoulder, but I did pick up this piece. I figured, first of all, it's a good Y2K piece, and second of all, it has the Just Cavalli name behind it, which is Roberto Cavalli's, I want to say, diffusion line. It does have a high retail, so I do pick up Just Cavalli or Roberto Cavalli when I find it, which is honestly not often. I pulled out this Hard Rack Cafe graphic crew neck hoodie. Wait, no, if it's crew neck, it's not a hoodie. It's a sweatshirt pullover thing. And I was like, oh, maybe buy sell trade will want this, but there was a small mark on the front, so I threw it back. Also, when it comes to graphic tees and hoodies, sweatshirts, I don't really know what buy sell trade buys, but I'm going tomorrow and experimenting to see if they buy any of the graphic stuff I picked up. Some of it's local Chicago things, which I think they should want. Guys, I saw that logo peeking out of the bins. We all know what it is. We're all happy when we find it. It is Lululemon, and this is still the same bin I've been digging in for a while now. As I said, I got a lot of good stuff coming out of this bin, a few Lululemon pieces already. So this is a pretty basic tank. I still pick those up in the bins though, because I can usually get about $20 for tanks from Lululemon. Then I found this super cool graphic tee. It did have pit stains, but I will say, I did see at Buy Sell Trade white tees that had a lot of stains and they had cool graphics. So I threw it in my cart and I was like, okay, I'll try it at Buy Sell Trade. But I ended up throwing it back because I just couldn't buy something that stained, even if I had seen them buy it in the past. And then I saw like a 12-year-old boy pick it up right when I threw it back and like run away to his older brother. So I was like, okay, hopefully it's being loved. As you guys saw, I found another pair of Lululemon underwear, men's brief underwear. So I was thinking, oh man, maybe there are more Lululemon men's underwear in this bin. I gotta dig really good, because how am I going to find another pair of underwear that is filled in a bin with like probably at least 100 items, probably more than 100. I don't know. Has anyone ever counted how many items are in one bin? I did come across a Michael Kors swimsuit. I do like selling swimwear, especially one pieces. Any department store brand really often performs well for me. So I looked this piece over, I checked the crotch and threw it back, so I'm assuming there was some gunk in the crotch. This piece felt like Lululemon. I looked for the dot and it is Lululemon. I have not found a size dot on it, so it's going to be kind of a hard piece to research, but I do think it's men's. Coming up here, I found another Irish linen piece. When I pulled it out, I saw the dry clean only and it felt like linen. So I was like, okay, this could be Irish linen or just regular linen. I've been coming across a lot of it. It was Irish linen, but I was unfamiliar with the brand. So I threw it in my cart to look up later. It looked like it could be a good leg and look piece. However, when I did comps, it was not comping very well. There was like one sold on Poshmark for $25 and really none sold on eBay. And since I was in the mindset of picking things up to wholesale, I decided not to pick it up. I don't want to send someone a bad item. Now looking back at the footage, I'm like, oh man, I wish I got that piece to experiment for myself. But we're not in summer, so it's not the end of the world that I didn't pick up that linen piece. I'm still digging through this first bin from the first rotation I lined up for when I noticed they're rolling more bins away. Guys, the Romeoville bins rotate pretty fast, so I don't try to go to every single rotation, and this is now the Lululemon bin, so I have to touch every single item in this bin to make sure it's not Lululemon. I could tell this was silk. It had a dry cleaning tag on it, but the only interior tag I found was not a brand tag, and I don't even remember if I could read that it even said silk. I did find this Old Navy girls tank, perfect piece for Once Upon a Child. I know it kind of looks a little worn in the clip, but it wasn't. So that will go off to Once Upon a Child, and they do buy year round. Now guys, I am digging to the bottom of this bin for underwear, trying to find more Lululemon men's underwear, and I did it. I found another pair of used men's underwear. So I'm going to lot all these men's Lululemon underwear together. I did actually find a fourth pair. They will all go on Poshmark in one lot. I don't know how much they will sell for, but I'm hoping at least $30, which is crazy for used underwear. I'm hoping that I didn't leave any more underwear behind. As you can see, there is the next rotation going on, but I am sticking with my bin, hoping to come across more Lululemon. I did pull out this piece, and it's from the brand Jewels, which is kind of like Bowden. It's a British brand, kind of mature, preppy-esque, and I do like selling it. It's a bread and butter brand for sure. So I threw that in my cart for a wholesale box because I like selling it. Now, from going to the bins multiple days, I came across this jacket often. I know it by heart now. It is a Cat and Jack little floral jacket. I will pick it up for Once Upon a Child when it's in good condition, but this one had a spot on the front, and the pieces I pick up for Once Upon a Child have to have no wear on them. Even if it's something that could come out in the wash, I am not doing laundry for a like 80-cent profit to $1 profit from Once Upon a Child. I finally finished up in the Lululemon bin, so I decided to line up for a new rotation. I do believe I got every single piece of Lululemon out of that bin. Fingers crossed. Here are the two items I found in that new rotation: a House of Harlow piece to resell and an Express Y2K men's sweatshirt for buy-sell trade. And now we are off to the shoes. Shoes are one of my favorite things to pick up at my bins because I can usually find pretty good ones. I don't mind cleaning shoes, and I like the profits from shoes at the bins. The bins were packed with shoes today. The last time I went, they were pretty empty, but I actually did find some good shoes. Today, I didn't find really many good shoes. I found these soft shoes. I do pick up soft occasionally. I liked the embroidered detail on these, so I threw them in my cart. But then I ended up running into Rhonda, who's a subscriber. Hey Rhonda, if you're watching, I have loved meeting you at the bins. So I actually gave her the couple pair of shoes I found because she likes reselling shoes, and I had a cart full of stuff and didn't need them. I found this Sperry, and I actually have a Sperry duck boot that needs a leather lace like that, and I thought I would be able to find one in the bins to replace it, and then I realized they're like coiled on the end like that, so I would not be able to take it off to replace it. Here's a pair of Keens. I like selling Keens. They were super damaged, as you can see here, so had to throw those back. Not sure what that brand was. I probably would have looked it up if the match was in the bins, but again, since I was shopping with the intention to wholesale, I was just skimming the top of the bins. I was not going crazy. Thought those might be Checos. They weren't Checos. Oh look, they're doing another rotation. They were rotating so fast this day, and as I said, they stopped rotating at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. I found these Lucky Brand booties. They were in super good condition, so I grabbed those, and I also passed those off to Rhonda. Glad I was able to give those to her, and I hope they make her some money. Here's one more Keen shoe. As you can see, the size dot, it comes off on these very often. Sometimes you can get lucky and maybe the US size has come off, but the UK size is still on there, so then you can compare to size charts and sell them that way. But that is very common in these Keen Newport style shoes. I know a lot of you guys actually like to watch me shop in the bins, so I did set up that angle, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, I chose the absolute worst bin to set that up in, and this is my only find from this bin. It is this Cat and Jack girls piece for Once Upon a Child. So while we fast forward, and yes, right now this footage is sped up of me looking through every single item, I will take a moment to tell you about the audiobook I was listening to. It is this book on the screen. I think it's called Diavola or something. I don't know. It is a gothic horror, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It has mixed reviews, but I actually liked this author's previous book, and I didn't realize she had written it until I went and was like, oh my gosh, what else has this author written? Maybe I should read something else by her. And I was like, oh wait, I read her other book 2 years ago. So if you're looking for a gothic horror that takes place in Italy, I recommend this one. And actually, I will say I enjoyed like the last third of the book the most. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled bins content. I found this men's Billy Reid shirt, and I was very excited because Billy Reid is a very high retailing men's brand, and I actually listed this piece, and I was disappointed to only list it for $25. It's just not reselling that well. Here are some kids pieces I found. I know my carts look super full, but at least 50% of it is just filled with kids stuff for Once Upon a Child. Okay, I almost passed on this piece because I could tell it was good quality, but I did not feel like dealing with this big poofy formal wear gown. But then I saw this Peaches tag, and Peaches is a very expensive prom and quinceañera boutique near us, and then I saw the retail of $770, and I was like, okay, I cannot leave this dress behind in the bins just because I don't feel like dealing with a poofy dress. So I did pick this up for me to sell because I cannot ship this to someone. And if you're curious, that dress did end up costing me about $9, which is not bad at all for a $770 retail dress. This is when I met Rhonda, and we talked for like a half hour, and there was about an hour left in the night, so I went through about 1 to 2 more bins, and guess what? They were good bins, lucky goodbye bins. I found this Lululemon piece. I was very hopeful it would fit me, but unfortunately it does not, so it will have to get sold. And I found these Lululemon dance studio pants, some Madewell, some Free People, Hannah Anderson in this bin, so that was pretty lucky. And then I saw the Lululemon logo sticking out again, so another Lululemon bin. Unfortunately, this piece had holes in the front, so I did have to leave this piece behind. And if it were my size, maybe I would have grabbed it, but also that style does not look good on me, so I threw it back. And here is my last find of the night. This is actually like a baby swing thing, and it looked interesting, so I looked it up, and I don't know if it will resell well, but it had a high retail, so I grabbed it.
All right, here's the aftermath of day 4. This cart completely full. This one's not completely full. It just looks full because of that big black dress. But I had to stop filming because my phone's about to die. And honestly, in the last like half hour, I hit a really good bin. So that was lucky. Also, Rhonda came up to me, and I've met Rhonda before at the bins, and we chatted for like a half hour. We talked for a while. I was actually ready to head out, and then we talked, and it gave me a burst of energy. And so then I went and I found like a good handful of stuff before they closed. So thank you, Rhonda, for that burst of energy, and I hope I see you again. Also, I know I said I wasn't planning to stay till close, but my mom canceled dinner on me. So like, who am I kidding? Of course I'm staying till close. So now we are headed to Once Upon a Child to pick up my cash offer. We don't like a reseller who litters, bro, do that at home. Just picked up at Once Upon a Child. They gave me $64.20, which is pretty good. I mean, I like a little bit more, but I can't complain at $64.20 from kid stuff I got in the bins. That brings my total to this number on the screen from selling to Once Upon a Child. This is the 3rd day, even though it's day 4. I couldn't bring stuff on day 3. What is my total now? It's over 200, I think, right? Yeah, I think it should be over 200. So As I said, I cannot go to the bins tomorrow because I'm going to be spending the day with my mom in Chicago, which will be nice. And also, there's literally no space in my car for anything else, so I'm going to have to spend some time tomorrow also catching up. Gotta unload my car and figure out how many more boxes I can make. And I will see you guys for more bins thrifting on day number 5, which should be Monday. Okay, bye guys.